Zack Snyder is very much going after Warner Bros. He's doing a Superman to General Zod on them in recent interviews, and I have some interesting quotes from today's new article. But Patty Jenkins did something very similar a few months ago in interviews. She would talk about Warner Bros., throw little digs, and it showed how unhappy she was with them. So now she finds herself at Disney doing a Star Wars movie, and I have doubts that she'll return for Wonder Woman 3. I really do. And I don't think Zack Snyder is going back to helm DC anytime soon either, because of current management. Toby Emmerich, Walter Amada and Sarnoff clearly don't like the man for whatever reason. I don't know. Even Zack Snyder doesn't know. But this article was very interesting, and here's some of the questions that Zack Snyder was asked, and here is what his answers are as well. Question: here's my analogy. When Army of the Dead, it feels like a famous comedian who's been in movies or the biggest series and decides, you know what, I want to do stand-up again, get back to my roots. Zack Snyder says, it is a little bit. I'd say it's a good analogy because I shot the movie and I wrote the movie. Clearly it comes from the well, if you will, in a pretty significant way. And so yeah, I think that's a pretty good analogy. I buy that. Question: did you need that? Zack Snyder says, oh God yeah. It was cool to do the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and that was fun and everything, but Warner Brothers still tortured me the whole time for whatever reason. They can't help it. I don't know why I'm such a fucking pain in their ass, but I'm not trying to be. Honestly. You know, like that's pretty self-explanatory there. Zack Snyder has stated that Warner Brothers are on his back, and he doesn't know why. He doesn't know why they're so triggered by the guy. And that's just ridiculous. You know, he's trying to make his movie, but they're trying to stop him and add their own kind of things into it when he's a visionary director. They made him take out the John Stewart Green Lantern scene that he shot with Wayne T. Carr. They wanted to stop the Joker scenes. They probably even leaked that Jared Leto was in the movie. The trailers leaked. The movie leaked. The first, 30 minutes of it or something on Tom and Jerry. You know, stuff like that. It can't be a coincidence. You know, I think they tried to sabotage Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it was a big success. It really was. Now, here's another question. Now, what you said right there, I've seen your other recent quotes where you've said Warner Brothers isn't being receptive to the Snyderverse. Because, look, every experience I've had with you is that you're a very nice guy and a really passionate filmmaker. But do you worry when you say things like that? Not Warner Brothers, but another studio might be like, well, if things go south, we don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Zack Snyder says, well, I just don't know who would ever end up on the other end. If you analyse what's happened with Warner Brothers, it's not a normal situation. It's a once-in-a-generation bizarro situation. I just had an amazing experience with Netflix, and it was awesome. And we had a great partnership and an incredibly great experience. So the only thing I would say is that it's an unusual situation. Another question. That's true. And I just say that from a selfish standpoint because I want to keep seeing your movies and I don't want you to get into too much trouble. And he says, no, I agree. I don't want to get in trouble either. But I'm not going to sit here and let them act like that. I'm not. Look, they're the ones that have been aggressive, not me. I haven't done anything. Every day they turn around and do some weird passive-aggressive thing. So I don't know. It's weird. But look, like I say, I had a great time making Justice League. I'm super glad I got to finish it. So they would come back to him and just say shit or, trying to sabotage his movie or I'd say it was petty things. I really bet it was just small little petty things the whole time before the big thing happened back in 2017. And I'm glad that Zack Snyder is finally calling them out because they need to be called out. This is bullshit from the studio. They've been doing it since 2016. 30 minutes taken out of Batman v Superman, the entire Suicide Squad film, the ending to Wonder Woman, the entire Justice League movie. They've been doing this for years. And then it brings on more toxic stuff like Josh Whedon, Jeff Johns, all the kind of situation there, Ray Fisher. It's just terrible. And they're self-sabotaging their own universe, their directors, their actors, everything that they're trying to build. They're ruining it themselves. And now they're going in a different direction where they're not going to work with Zack Snyder again. And Zack Snyder probably won't work with Warner Brothers again until the current management goes. So that's just the reality of it. But again, Zack Snyder's happiness is more important than Warner Brothers or the rest of the Justice League movies. I still have some sort of confidence that maybe someday it will happen, maybe in 4 or 5 years from now. If HBO Max isn't performing that well, Justice League 2, that creates hype because Zack Snyder's Justice League right now is the most popular HBO Max original ever. Right now. So they might end up coming back to it, or if the current management changes, or if HBO Max goes and starts to be its own thing. You just never know what will happen, but right now I don't see it. Also in this interview, the interviewer said to Zack Snyder, I do love your Watchmen movie, and I'm curious if you saw the HBO series. And Zack Snyder says, I have not seen it yet. I do plan on seeing it at some point, but I have not watched it yet. I bet you Zack Snyder's just too busy to sit down and watch regular TV like us guys. But there's another interesting question here as well. The reason I ask is, in flashbacks, they use the squid to great effect. I'm curious if now, with the technology we have, if you now think you could have pulled off the squid, because back then, you said it wouldn't work because it would look weird or whatever. Zack Snyder says, and by the way, I love Watchmen. I have no regrets. I love that movie 100%. It's exactly what I wanted. And in some ways, I think there's a great college class that someone could teach on the difference between Dr. Manhattan and the squid, and why we would have chosen Dr. Manhattan and how thematically that works as it relates to the climax of that book. But I would also say that based on doing the movie that I just did, Justice League, I might consider it, only because I feel like it would have required a slightly longer movie to do the squid than, say, Dr. Manhattan. The interviewer says, well, that makes sense, and they had a whole mini-series to do it. Zack replies, yeah, exactly. I think that to have the squid in the movie that I made, the movie would be a little bit longer. We had Manhattan already, so we didn't have to set him up or anything. And the question then was posed towards Zack. I was rereading the piece about where the next Justice League movies would have gone. You mentioned how you really wanted to use John Stewart's Green Lantern, but you had to use Martian Manhunter instead. I'm curious how John Stewart would have fit in the whole story and what his role would be. Zack goes, well, you know, I shot it, right? I shot John Stewart, so yes, I wanted to use him. So basically, what was going to happen is he had two roles. One, we would have seen him in the post-apocalyptic world. He was kind of like their scout and kind of like their, join the team. And then in the final battle against Darkseid, he would have gotten the Green Lantern Corps and organised them to fight against Darkseid. Those would have been his jobs. And the interviewer goes, I like Martian Manhunter, but John Stewart's the best. Zack goes, I do too. I like Martian Manhunter. By the way, Martian Manhunter was going to be in there anyway, so you would have had both. Look, that interview was pretty good. And I'm glad that Zack is calling out Warner Brothers. He talks about, Watchmen, maybe he would have done the squid today with today's technology, but it would have depended on the story and how long kind of he would have needed. The film could have been 4 or 5 hours at that stage, or it could have been a sequel. But yeah, I think that's pretty cool to get his perspective. He hasn't watched Watchmen yet, but also on John Stewart Green Lantern, if you check the channel, the video of Zack Snyder last night at one of the screenings for Army of the Dead showed the audience, Wayne T. Carr as John Stewart in the suit. Now, I don't know if that's fully done by VFX or it's just art or whatever, but it looks pretty cool. It's badass. And I love how Zack the audience was like, can we see Wayne T. Carr as John Stewart? And Zack was like, yeah, sure, I'll just take out my phone and I'll show you guys. Because Zack right now doesn't give a fuck. He does not care. He's calling out Warner Brothers. He had the most successful HBO Max original, big hit all around the world, not just on HBO Max, but in streaming services in the UK, in China, in Canada, in Russia. That film was fucking huge. It was absolutely insane, but Warner Brothers don't want to admit it because of ego, because they hate Zack Snyder, and Zack Snyder doesn't even know why they hate him. That's the weird thing about it. At least if Zack knew, he could maybe apologise or say something, but he doesn't even know. And Warner Brothers probably don't even know either, because these people are driven by ego, and they're wearing the big suits. They're the ones that make the decisions. And Zack said yesterday as well in an interview, he thinks that these big studios don't like the fans telling them what to make. So Zack is slowly but surely coming out and going against Warner Brothers, and I like it. I like this Zack Snyder. He's not doing it in a weird way where he's calling them names or anything like that. He's doing it honestly, and I believe him because there's enough evidence right there with all the shit that's gone on through the years. Even Callien had some trouble with Birds of Prey as well. So I just believe him. I believe all these people because Warner Brothers' track record hasn't been good whatsoever. It's ridiculous from those guys. And I think that's why the DCU has failed, not because of the filmmakers, not because of the actors, not because of the crews, the writers, anything got to do with those people whatsoever, because the box office for Batman v Superman was pretty big. Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a hit. Those movies all did pretty well, and they were guided by Zack Snyder's universe he was trying to shape. But now we have the Birds of Prey, the Shazam, which weren't as big at the box office as probably Warner Bros. Would have liked, but they still think they're good movies because critically they were really liked. But Zack Snyder's Justice League broke records on streaming. It was critically liked, general audiences liked it, and it was untouched. It was untouched, unlike Batman v Superman or Justice League 17 or Suicide Squad, you know. So those definitely make big differences for a movie, big time. And yeah, I just like how Zack was able to call them out here and wasn't afraid to do it. And he doesn't really care now because I think he's guaranteed a contract at Netflix. The Army of the Dead universe is slowly building. He's going to do Horse Latitudes, I think, in South America when COVID clears up there. He's going to do another sci-fi project as well. Maybe something got to do with King Arthur. This man is going to make some insane movies and shows over the next, for the rest of his career. I don't see that at Warner Brothers unless the current management changes. They get somebody in there with a business mind and says, look, we need to get HBO Max back to the level that it was a few years ago. What about Justice League? Something like that. That could happen. That could work. But right now, with those guys involved, I don't think it's going to happen whatsoever. But it was cool that he said that we would have got to see Martian Manhunter and Jon Stewart. Because what happened basically was the Green Lantern scene was shot with pretty much the same dialogue with Wayne T. Carr. But Warner Bros. Wouldn't let it because they said, oh, we have a Green Lantern movie coming. Yeah, I still haven't seen that movie. They still haven't even greenlit a Green Lantern film with Jon Stewart. They cast a white guy for, was it Guy Gardner or one of those guys? I don't really know, but the other day, which I'm sure that guy will do well, and the show will be pretty good. But come on, he wanted to put Jon Stewart, a black character, and Warner Brothers said, nope, we're not doing that. So, but basically, Harry Lennox, Martian Manhunter, was brought in, and it's basically the same dialogue he had with Batman Bruce Wayne at the end of the movie. So, but that would have been Green Lantern, probably maybe a few more references towards Green Lantern Corps, things like that. And maybe the Martian Manhunter scene would have just been the one with Lois, you know, outside of her apartment where he switches back into his own body where he was Marta, and then he goes back into Harry Lennox's, you know, General Swanzik. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Zack throwing shade, talking about Martian Manhunter, Jon Stewart. I think that scene will be leaked at some stage or will be put out there. Definitely, I do. Because he's been teasing it, you know, he showed us the kind of filming of that scene, he showed us the finished shot of that scene. I think we'll definitely get that scene sometime. Maybe do what Ryan Reynolds did with Deadpool. Well, I know Ryan Reynolds never admitted to it, but he leaked the footage, the test footage for Deadpool. Big hit online, 2 movies came out about that character. So yeah, I think Zack Snyder may do something like that down the line. But guys, what's your thoughts on Zack Snyder finally calling out Warner Brothers big time, you know? Big time. I'm proud that he did that because he's taken enough shit from those guys for far too long. But now he has the high ground. Zack Snyder has the high ground because Zack Snyder's Justice League was a big hit and Army of the Dead will be an even bigger one. Insane. So guys, give a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know below your thoughts about all this kind of stuff. Maybe Zack should have kept his mouth shut. Maybe you guys don't agree with him calling out Warner Brothers like this. Maybe let me know below. Do you think his future lies with Netflix or with Warner Brothers? Where do you think the Snyderverse could be restored with Zack Snyder or without Zack Snyder? Maybe some of his characters like a Deathstroke will get a show and stuff like that. I still think that could be possible as well with Zack Snyder not involved but the same actor, Joe Manganiello. But guys, let me know your thoughts. I'm very interested and thanks for watching.